for simmers like me who absolutely love Create a Sim, yesterday's update was an absolute win. But for everyone else, I am going to warn you, do not play around with one of the new features that was introduced in yesterday's update. You know what? I've done my fair share of testing. I downloaded the EA app before people really had to test it for you lot. I then switched back to Origin very quickly. I also basically broke my game when I tried to find out all of the people that you can move in for rent and how many townies there actually were. My game didn't like that, but thankfully this time Kayla, aka Lil Simsy, has taken one for the team and tested this new feature, and it completely broke her game. So please, PSA, stay away from it. But this is the new feature that you should absolutely stay away from until it is fixed, until they work out the kinks, because it truly is just not working the way that they intended it to work. It is pack selection, and if you are familiar with The Sims 3, The Sims 3 had a launcher by the end of The Sims 3 lifestyle, like coming up towards the end of The Sims 3 lifestyle, which we know we aren't getting a Sims 5, so what's going on here then, Sims? I imagine maybe over time Sims 4, I mean, for some people it's been unstable anyway, but I imagine as they add more and more onto this game, it's going to become more and more unstable. Whilst I don't think this is the be all and end all, I don't think this should be like a plaster to cover up the issues that we have. Obviously, there has been that issue predominantly brought on by For Rent, which is affecting some people's saves and removing assets like slowly over time, basically eating save folders, which, by the way, can I also give a PSA? If you have noticed that in your game and you haven't given the save file over to the team over on the forums, please do. This still hasn't been fully fixed because they're actually struggling to get hands-on. They will have a bunch of instructions about how to do it, and honestly, you could help other simmers out. So I'm just going to encourage people who have maybe noticed that in their save files to go over to the forums and upload it and chat to them over there. But customize your experience by selecting which packs to load. Disabling packs removes their specific content such as hair, clothing, objects, gameplay functions from save games. We recommend only disabling packs when starting a new save game to avoid any unintended loss of content or progress. Now, they say that they aren't going to use this as a plaster. This isn't like a coating to be like, well, you could just remove For Rent and maybe not suffer that issue. Or, you know, if there's a bug with a new pack, for example, the ailments, they could be like, well, you could just get rid of Enchanted by nature in your game and then you wouldn't be affected by it. I don't think that's what the Sims team want to do. I don't think that's why this was introduced. I think over time, if they are going to be adding more and more to The Sims 4 with no Sims 5 coming and them saying we don't want people to have to restart their collection, you know, this is gonna help those people who may be on a lower end PC who do struggle with simulation lag or issues that they run into. I do think that disabling packs is going to be helpful to those players because we have an awful lot of packs right now. However, right now I would say just do not mess with this whatsoever. Even if you absolutely hate a pack, some people, I've seen loads of people dogging on Eco Lifestyle, which I know the NAPs are so broken, but she is my problem child. I absolutely love her. I know she's problematic, but Eco Lifestyle hate is so forced at this point. But a lot of people were buy Eco Lifestyle, which is fair and valid. If you don't like playing with it, that's absolutely fair. Everyone has their own opinions. Everyone has their own worth when it comes to different packs in the game. For example, I don't particularly like seasons. Also, Horse Wrench could live without her, let's be so real. However, if you untick these and actually confirm and load it, I think it has to restart your game, and then you obviously all that content will be removed. However, Kayla tried to do this in her video. She actually removed everything just so it was base game only, and then tried to put it all back in, but it just got stuck. It basically said this could take longer as more packs are selected. Obviously, Kayla has all of the packs, as do I, and so thank you, Kayla, for breaking your game. I'm not gonna do it in mine. If you want to go check out Kayla's video, I will happily link it in the description down below so you can kind of see it in more detail. I would just stay away from this. There is a way that you can disable your packs without this. James Turner, formerly known as The Sims Supply, has The Sims 4 how to disable packs. You can literally click on this and it will take you through to his handy dandy tool. If you, for example, don't want eco lifestyle and you maybe don't want Enchanted by Nature, you can just copy this. You can Control C. If you then click on The Sims 4 over on your EA app and you go on Manage, or if you're just in your library and you click on the 3 dots, View Properties, and then in this Advanced Launch options, you can just paste that in, Control V, you save that, and then you close this, load up The Sims 4, and that will mean Eco Lifestyle and Enchanted by Nature, can't believe there are 10 expansions in between those two, will not be in your game. However, if you want them back in your game, all you have to do is delete that, you save it once again, you close it, and they will be back in your game. There isn't any waiting around. Obviously, it does mean you have to like exit out of the game, input that, exit out of the game, remove that, and load it back up, but that is way easier than basically ruining your game and having to do like a fresh install. Kayla did also mention that someone that she was speaking to at EA to try and resolve this for herself actually said if you remove the user setting, like just delete that and then repair the game on the EA app and then load it back up, this will respawn itself, but it may hopefully wipe all of those choices that you made. However, do keep in mind it does like revert all of your settings, so all of your audio etc will be reset. So that may be a workaround if you are having issues with it instead of doing like a fresh reinstall. But let's actually check out what we have in Create a Sim. So we're just gonna start a new game. Also, by the way, if you do play around with that pack disabler, don't load into any of your old saves because it's likely if you disable a pack, you have somewhere in that save played with it at one point in time, be it an item on your sim, be it an item in build and buy mode or a gameplay asset. It will have data from all of your other packs, so don't hop in to old saves because you will likely either corrupt them or just like remove those assets and it could mess with your save file. Just don't do it. Just always create a new save if you are disabling packs, and if you accidentally click on an old save, just make sure you don't save it. Just like exit to main menu or exit out of the game and nothing will have changed. Kind of treat it like you do with like mods and custom content when you're checking if they are working. Restore old or broken appliances. No, stop it. Why are they telling me? Why are they forcing me to click on the store? That was absolutely disgusting. Hated everything about that. If they're just trying to make people click on that store even more, I'm gonna be so annoyed. But let's remove the accessories and everything from this sim. We go to face. I'm gonna remove that one freckle that she has right now. And then in skin details, this is where you'll find a lot of the new stuff. Now, we did already have some mouth and like laugh lines and mouth wrinkles. However, they have also given us some other ones. So I can't remember out of all of these which ones are new and which ones were already in the game. I think maybe these 3 may have already been in, and then we got this version and we got this version. These 4 may have already been in because they don't have any variants, but this one actually does have little variations to it. So you can have little creases like around your chin and around your mouth. Obviously, these were made for older Sims, so you can actually, this is what it looks like on an elder with already like, I guess, the preset elder wrinkles that we do already have. Obviously, you could add additional ones on to make those like a little bit darker, but these are how the mouth ones look. I will say some of them don't look supernatural. I don't know why, but this one is giving like marionette marionette puppet. But I don't mind having additional ones. I don't know realistically how much use I'll get out of these, just because I don't think they genuinely look the most realistic. I think they are like very cartoonified, which I guess The Sims 4 does have that more like cartoony look to it. These are all versions actually without like any of my skins or anything like that, or my presets or defaults. And then we did actually get some new freckles. I really like these freckles. I am definitely going to get a lot of use out of these. It's more of a full freckle face. Obviously we had this one from base game, but I would say these are actually look way more realistic than the ones from base game, so definitely a fan of those. And then we do also have some sunspots, some age spots, and also rosacea. So this is one of the dark patches of skin. There are 2 swatches on that. Then we have kind of like rosacea and kind of age spots. You have this one that goes across the nose. This first one kind of goes across the cheek and the nose, and then this one kind of goes like over the cheeks. This is like the full on rosacea, I feel like, whereas these 2 also have kind of sunspots or like age marks on them. And then we have this pigmentation over here. We also have this pigmentation, which is more like moly and freckly kind of age spots situation going on. I do real quickly actually want to look at how the rosacea looks on a different set of like skin tones, just so you can kind of see. It can get very patchy on darker skin tones, or at least some. Even on some of the lighter ones, it is actually quite difficult to see. It kind of depends on like the undertone you've gone for. If they do have a more reddy undertone anyway, then obviously that is going to be more difficult to pick up on. And unfortunately, because it is a skin detail, they don't actually have sliders on it. I personally would have liked a slider on this, the same way that you can with skin tones, the same way that you can with makeup. I think an opacity slider and like a contrast slider definitely could have helped to match this to more skin tones. There is also a couple of new eye bags. We did actually already have, I'm fairly sure, these 4, and then the new one is the one with the swatches. So again, you can add more texture to your Sims. I don't know what feels like not completely 100% right about this to me. I think it may be because like the rest of the skin, especially on like elders, like already looks like plasticine-y, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the mouth now looks like it's aged and the eyes look like they've aged, but the rest of the skin, like around the cheeks and like around this portion, there's not really like any texture to it apart from maybe adding like darker marks or those sunspots. And even still, like adding this like aging stuff doesn't really give a lot of like realistic texture, so it kind of just feels like it's set makeup. It feels like it's set dressing and they're not actually really aging. I genuinely wanted to love this, but I do think, especially maybe even without custom content, like I'm just playing actual Sims right now, it just feels like it's kind of forcing aging upon someone, and it's not actually like a gradual thing that happens in the game. And there's also not different like skin textures to play around with, which just kind of makes the wrinkles seem a little too much when the rest of the face doesn't really match it. Maybe that could be helped by like actually changing someone up and like changing the way that they look and like how their features would age as well. But this is the thing, The Sims doesn't really have features of aging. Like, I know that I really suffer with elders having jowls a lot of the time, and this does do a little bit, I feel, to disguise the jowls, but they've always looked really jaggedy free when it comes to elders within this game, and that's one thing I've always hated about elders. I just think if they want to like make it seem as if a sim is actually aging, they need to get more realistic with it. Is that just me? I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. They need to actually focus on like elders' stances, elders' bodies, elders' like facial features, not give them all these like jaggedy edges, and actually make them feel more realistic. And then when it comes to skin details on the body, we finally have a full set of freckles when it comes to the body as well. Now, we did have a couple of these when it came to growing together, but they just kind of affected the shoulders and sometimes the stomach. Didn't really affect legs all that much. I guess there are a couple of spots on the legs, but this one is like all over body freckles. And again, there are 3 different variants of this, of like varying quantity and how dense those freckles actually are. I would still love to see like all over moles as well, just like certain mole patterns. As a moley person, I feel like I deserve that. Then of course we have all of the birthmarks that we got and vitiligo that we got last year, but then I'm fairly sure there were also a couple of other things added. What is this? What is changing here? Oh, they're stretch marks. That was really, really difficult for me to see. On this swatch, there's actually like underarm and like bicep stretch marks, and then also some down the sides of the sim. As you can see, there's also on the side of their thighs and across their knees. Then on this version, that removes the leg ones, so you're just left with like the arm ones. It also doesn't have the side. For this swatch, you have the knees and you don't have the arms. This one, you have just the side. Again, no like sliders for this. You can't really make these stand out more. This is the body over here. So this is kind of technically the darker variant, and then you have the lighter version, which again kind of includes all the same one. Let me check this on different skin tones. Let me see what we got going on here. This is the darker set on a darker skin tone, and then this is the lighter set on a darker skin tone. I just always wish that they would include like the color and opacity sliders. I think that's something they now need to start doing for skin details. Like, they've brought diversity to the skin tones, but we don't have that same diversity and inclusion when it comes to the skin details now. Moving on to the second set, this also has stretch marks around the boobs and like chest area. The second one just has the arms one. Again, I'm honestly not too sure what is different about like these arms ones. I don't know why they both just only have the arms. This is again just the knees. They look extremely similar to me. I don't really know why there's 2 versions of all of these. Like, I understand the boobs one, considering that was like slightly different. Are they a slightly maybe different pattern? But it's really, really difficult to see even if they are. And then you have the lighter versions once again. And then you do actually have a really nice little skin detail. This is what I think we need for the face as well. I think we need an all over like skin detail that actually makes someone feel aged. Like, this to me feels way more realistic than the face ones currently do. Again, because you kind of have those spots that aren't aged whatsoever, with like kind of the sagging of the skin and very like creases of the skin, very, very subtle, but also very, very realistic. I actually really love that. So you have the version with age spots and then without age spots, and then you have a version which is kind of just like predominantly more so the chest area, and then you have that one again but with the age spots. There's also a second variant which looks like this. It fully changes like even the belly button and like where the belly button sits. This one, I don't know, I don't like it just as much. It kind of, why does it look like they're wearing a costume? Like, what is this? I like this, but this genuinely feels a little bit more costumey. Like, see how natural this first one is? Like, there's not really like any seam. It doesn't look like they're wearing a skin suit, whereas this one literally looks like they're wearing a skin suit. Like, what is that? I absolutely adore these. I just wish they were done better. Like, I wish they were done to a higher standard. This is so interesting. So we already had these two sets of stretch marks. These ones are also new. So these are kind of for the back of your body. You have it like on the shoulders and down by the calves. Then you have just the shoulders and just the legs. And then both of these also again in that like slightly lighter swatch. Then we have these like wrinkles around the bum and also at the back of the knees. I think it's adding some. You've got the version with age spots and then without age spots, and again a what's the difference on this one? Yeah, you got the detail on the ankles and the thing. Sometimes it looks like they're wearing like tights. Like, I just don't think it's done to the best of the abilities. Like, I really just don't think this looks super natural. And then you also have this version with the age spots, so this is more down the lower side of the feet, whereas this one is kind of everywhere. This I feel feels more realistic. There's definitely ones of this I prefer for sure. Then we have this version with the spotting, this version without and kind of just around the knees and the ankles, and then all well and good, but I do also feel like we now need some more body presets as well when it comes to like shape of ankles, like how the ankles can actually look. And real quickly, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I know I've yapped about Create Sim and the new feature quite a lot, but handful of new features, new skin details, wrinkles, freckles, and more been added to base game for teens and older. Now that's another thing. I want to see those freckles and stuff added for kids and toddlers and infants because I find it weird that they weren't, but fingers crossed that will be coming soon now that they have the base to work off. Rosacea, dark spots, age spots, and eye bags for faces, as well as stretch marks and freckles for bodies. For adult Sims, we've also added mouth wrinkles and body wrinkles. Learn more in the dev diary. Obviously, the pack selection, technical issues, and feedback. You're seeing an error message, game data still loading, please wait. You can resolve this by closing Sims 4, deleting the user settings.ini file from install folder and running a repair. So there you go. That is what Kayla was facing, and they have already updated this with issues. Also, don't play around with this if you're on console, because I'm 99.9% sure you're not going to be able to see any of those files, and therefore you're not going to have the hotfix to like delete it. Enhanced rendering for smoother visuals, improve responsiveness by optimizing graphics, fixed issues causing crashes when certain graphic settings used, address shadow flickering, and resolve problems with lighting. Obviously, there is also the Enchanted by Nature ailments option, which I didn't actually go into, but if you go game options and then pack settings, which by the way, all of you who are yapping about eco lifestyle wanting to turn it off, literally just turn off NPC voting and you won't be forced to have NAPs in your game, because I feel like that's what most people beef with in my favorite pack. You can also just get rid of the eco footprint, but that doesn't really do anything in our games anyway, let's be real. We scroll down to Enchanted by Nature. Limit fairies to inner screen still exists. Enable ailment spread. If disabled, they will no longer spread contagiously. So that means even if you're using public bathrooms, even if you're working in the naturopath career, if you come into contact with Sims who have ailments, they won't likely pick up on them, which will reduce the amount you see ailments. If you have this ticked off, you do still get ailments actually through being imbalanced. So you will still see ailments. Townies will still have ailments. You can still work in the naturopath career. Fairies will still be able to give and cure ailments. It just won't contract as easily, and therefore you definitely won't see as much. If you don't want them in your game whatsoever, if you don't want your Sims suffering from them, I mean, I do still think that townies will be able to have them, considering you need them for the naturopath career, but turn off balance and imbalance, because if you become imbalanced, there is likely still a chance that you will get ailments. So if you're just sick of them, I'm gonna keep them on. I'm gonna like play around obviously in my Enchanted by Nature household, see how frequently we get them nowadays. Honestly, it already felt like it had gone down a little bit since the last patch that we got to cover ailments, so be interesting to see how this one actually affects it as well. Obviously, to create a kit, we have Peacemaker's Grange Mudroom and the Essential Glam by Cryptic. Those will be both out tomorrow. Obviously, I will have a video going over both of those. All the sneakers can now be found in cold weather from the 25th anniversary. Wide leg jeans can now be found under masculine fashion preference. I was missing out on some wide leg jeans. What do you mean? Tuck tees from the anniversary update are now available in athletic sleep hot weather. Feminine fashion preference will now see the blazer and tee. Curly shag from anniversary is now listed under wavy hair texture. On console, we had the user agreement and privacy, which meant that the game was offline. Settings configured in game options, volume, etc. should now save. High school years, 4 or more teens from active household, all of them now have high school data. So they finally fixed that. Adding a sim from the gallery on my library that has custom tattoos will no longer turn pitch black. I know that that was a big one that people wanted to see a fix for. More flexibility in ailment spread. When cooking, Sims with bad luck are now less likely to start a fire. I have seen people complaining about this and being like, you remove the best thing about like having bad luck. This was happening far too frequently. Like, honestly, it was a little bit ridiculous. Sims will still have the option to start a fire if they have bad luck. It just won't be as tuned as it was. Hopefully it hasn't written it out completely. I don't think it will have. I think they will have just nerfed it a little bit so you're not having a fire every single time you cook with bad luck, because that's pretty much how it was going in my game. There was a couple of like incorrect colors happening on the stone bathtub and toilet and sink, and dirty state will no longer incorrectly change the color swatch. So not a lot of fixes. Genuinely right now anyway, I feel like the biggest issues that I am having in my game are just like Sims cancelling out of interactions and stuff like that. Like, I'm not really been paying attention much to like little bugs that are occurring, because sometimes it is a slog to even like get through a video when Sims are constantly cancelling out of things. I don't know, are there any bugs in your game that you were hoping would be fixed this time around? Because it is a pretty short bug list, but I guess they also did add some like new options and stuff, and I know that they really were focusing on that ailment thing because it was pretty bad. I know it was an awful lot to take in. I hope this video was helpful. I really wanted to love the creator sim bits, and whilst I am a fan that they are giving elders more, honestly, we need more justice for elders in The Sims 4, I do think they need to maybe look at them just a little bit more, polish them up, make them not feel like skin suits as so much as they currently do. I don't know if I'm the only person who feels that way. Obviously, you lot can have your say in the comments down below. I like that they're doing something different. I like that they're adding textures to the skin, and I think that's what we need for like aging in The Sims 4, because everyone does kind of look a little bit like plasticine just because of the way The Sims 4 is. I do think these are going to look different depending on like what skin details you have and like custom content you have installed. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at it like what's actually changed here. If you have a default skin or you use overlays, sometimes they can really like wipe out official like changes that you make through Sims skin details. I definitely think this is a good like first start. I think it's a good jumping off point, but I definitely think they just need more polishing. Like for example, even this one on the legs, just with the way that the like light is set up, I don't know if this is maybe now because I have my default skin on, which is like changing it up a little bit, which is why I said be cautious with like custom content and how it's gonna affect affect like how these things actually look. I don't remember seeing this when we were going through it without my default skin. They could just look at this and be like, hey, how can we make it look a little bit more natural? How can we make it look better on like a range of skin tones, etc, etc. Like, for example, even with rosacea, inflammatory skin conditions don't always appear pink or red when someone has darker skin. In fact, conditions like rosacea remain frequently undiagnosed in Black people because it can look different than in those with dark skin tones. For example, it's not always red or pink patches. It can be areas of skin that appear dusky or dark. Rosacea flares may look purplish or simply discolored from your usual skin tone. And I think that's what they also need to keep in mind when they're giving us more skin details in the future. Like, not only how does this look on like lighter skin tones, but also on a range of different skin tones, how can it look? Like, this is kind of what I mean when I talk about skin textures, because right now it looks like it's painted on, whereas some of the moles that we got in like Growing Together, for example, actually do look like they stand out from the skin a little bit. And I think that's what their next move maybe needs to be, more about like texture. How can we make this look more realistic rather than just being painted on? Pack Selector, don't use it, don't touch it, don't play around with it. I know people want to investigate, I know people want to know what it does. Just avoid it. Just don't even open it. Don't even look at it. If you want to disable certain packs, do it the way that I suggested through James Turner's website, because that is currently still the best way to go about it. I would love to hear your thoughts, opinions on this update. Let me know how you're feeling about the creator sim, and hopefully this pack selection is fixed soon, because I don't want any more games being ruined by it. And I will speak to you all tomorrow when we get the new kits.